What's going on, crypto people? Is Brooklyn in the bridge? Third eye explosion. What's going on, my friend? Happy Sunday to you. Life is good. We're at the Kahneman. What's going on, my guy? What's going on? One of the OGs, Rat the Kahneman, one of the big time value adds to the community, poses a question. And we're going to get into it. How does this XRP buyback make any sense at all? We'll get into that. Shout out to Jimmy Valley. Yeah, you understand some of the YouTube entertainers don't quite understand how to articulate. So you got to put up with that. So we'll cover it here. Life is really, really good. Let's go. Never ever forget, old money doesn't want you to win. What's going on with my shirt here? What's going on? Bobby XRP Axelrod is in the building. How are you? Good morning, Birdtown Music Group. It's been a minute, my guy. How you feeling? Guys, listen, this is the crypto siege. I want to get into this. This is a really, 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 really important thing to kind of cover. And I hope that I can help people kind of get their head around this XRP buyback. Look, you got Lulu's and I think it's Lulu. You got Zach Rector. You got people on this, this committee. Awesome, cool. And I think a lot of people, understand this whole special committee thing. I think it's, Jimmy round up some people, and probably with the help of James Rule, XRP, for people who they believe understand the prowess of XRP and the value behind the ledger, and understand some other things as well in terms of Financial Times. People who understand there have been multiple resets, multiple, nation after nation after nation, and currency resets. And you got to understand that after the reset, these nations have to have a financial plan moving forward. And if you really, really, truly believe that this is a new asset class and it's being built right underneath the noses of the masses, not you and I, because we're in it. If you really, really believe this is a new asset class called the digital asset space, and it is the future, then wouldn't the greatest digital asset ever created be at the center of a new financial system? Wouldn't that make sense? So we're going to talk about the XRP buyback for sure. Good morning to each and every one of you. David, what's good? Guys, do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. We're gonna shadow ban the shadow ban for YouTube. We're gonna just keep making content until they decide to take that shadow ban off. I'm gonna continue to speak the truth about the powers that be, about hashtag Gary Gensler is not your friend, and that the bankers and the banking regulators and Sullivan and Cromwell, yeah, they don't want you to win, my friend. They don't want you to win. Winston P. Prescott, what's good? Winston says, I just watched your drive time video. Did you enjoy it, bro? Did you enjoy that, Winston? Good to see you this morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to each and every one of you. So guys, look, the XRP buyback, we kind of had to set a foundational kind of preface this whole conversation with a couple of things. Watching from Japan. Good to see you, bro. Number one, nations have done currency resets time and time again. Number two, in the United States, there's precedence for this type of action, right? The confiscation, if you will, of gold is really the impetus behind Jimmy Valley, and I don't want to speak for him, and kind of what he is doing. Okay, so those are the two things: nations and resets multiple times. And Boris Garlinghouse said, "I just watched Drive Time video." I appreciate that, my guy. How are you doing, Boris? So understand that nations resets and financial resets, they have to have a plan moving forward. They don't just reset the currency. They say, "Oh, okay, right." They gotta have a plan. And then number two, the United States has done this type of thing before with gold, right? And the confiscation of the gold. You got to understand that. That is important to understand, right? And here's what I said in my drive time video, in case you guys didn't miss it. You definitely want to check that out. But I said two things, and I hope this makes sense. You know, this is some things that I've done in business, right? And I hope it makes sense for you today. Number one, and not that it's the first, but I'm just going in order. Number one, right? It is better, and my guys in Japan will probably get this. It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Let me say that again. It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. What is a war? We're talking about a war in financial time, in the financial system. A great reset of a currency is a wartime move. There's a reason why nations have resets, right? They figure it out, they figured out, they're in a mess. The Great Depression, that financial war led to the confiscation of gold. It wasn't just because, right? You get that. Now, here's the other thing that I teach in business all the time. It is better to have, let me put it in a better way. Let's see if I can put that better. It is better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Right? This to me speaks to what Jimmy Valley about how capital is doing. Now, I got a question for my awesome fam here. And just let me know in the chat. Please let me know in the chat. Just be honest with yourselves. Let me know in the chat. Did you guys watch the video with Linda P. Jones where she interviewed Jimmy Valley and tried to clear up this whole XRP buyback thing? Just be honest with yourself. Did you watch the video? Not clips on crypto Twitter. Did you watch the video? Let me know. Third Eye Explosion. Did you watch that video? Bobby XRP Axelrod. Did you watch that video? Bird Time Music Group. Let me know in the chat. Did you watch the video? David, did you watch that video? Winston P. Prescott. Did you watch that video, my guy? Did you watch and listen to the video and or listen to that video? Just let me know in the chat, guys. Let me know in the chat. Let me refresh the total cryptocurrency market cap. We'll go over that for a little bit. Yeah, we'll go over that for a little bit. Just let me know in the chat. Heather happily said, yes, I watched it. I love it. Lady of Crypto was in the building. Good to see you, Heather. Have you been on the channel before? Have you been in the stream, Heather? I love it when the ladies of crypto check in. I love it because we need a new 1%. And I got to tell you, the ladies in crypto are amazing, but we need more. We need more. Logan Dow, buyback makes no sense to me. I hear you, my friend. That's why I appreciate you checking in. We're going to get into it. But Logan, I asked the question. Have you watched the video with Linda P. Jones interviewing on our podcast Jimmy Valley, not the recent one here where she had Jimmy Valley on, she had Crypto T and I think the Black Swan Capitalist, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. The one where Linda P. Jones interviewed Jimmy Valley, Bobby XRP Expert. I did not. I appreciate your honesty, my guy. Norseman's in the building. Hey, Norseman, appreciate you being here. Did you watch the video where Linda P. Jones interviewed Jimmy Valley? It's important so that we can put this conversation in context. Because if you go, if you take your lead on trying to wrap your brain around the idea of an XRP buyback, and you haven't watched that video where Linda P. Jones interviewed Jimmy Valley, it's going to be hard to get it. Norseman did not watch it. Bobby XRP Axelrod did not. Heather watched it. Oh, Heather says, I've been watching a long time, only now talking in chats. Well, I appreciate you checking in, Heather. I really do. I saw where he was saying it's probably worth 50K now, the knowledge buyback. Okay, got it. So let me see if I have that video up here. Yeah, right here. Let me share this. And I think it's important so that I'm going to get the link and then I'm going to share some clips from the video. So let's copy it here. Let's put it in here. It's important to watch this video, especially after you guys get off with me today. You are welcome, Heather. I appreciate you being here. Heather says, thanks for all you do, CJ. I love that she got CJ. A lot of people miss the siege. They miss the CJ in the crypto siege. Heather caught it. That's why I'm telling you, the ladies of crypto just very, very smart. Face stamper warriors. Yes, sir. This is what I'm talking about. Jimmy Valley is a warrior. And in present financial times, in a garden. I think I did. All right, there's the link. Let me share the screen here so you can see the video so you'll know. Anyone else want to comment honestly whether or not they watched that? Logan, did you watch that video? Let me see. Let me share. Because this is important. It's important to get some context. It's important to get some background. Like, who is Jimmy Valley? Wouldn't you be asking that of yourself? I mean, who is Jimmy Valley? What gives him the right? What makes him qualified? When you ask that of yourself, what makes him qualified to propose something to the United States government? What makes him qualified to do that? You know, where does his expertise lie? These things are important. Elgon says, hey, Elgon, how are you? Now, are you talking, you say, yes, Jimmy talking about the private ledger part was fascinating. Okay, so you're talking, Elgon, are you talking about the most recent interview where he was on there? I guess they were all on like a Zoom thing and with Crypto T and Crypto T, Jimmy Valley. I want to say the Black Swan Capitalist guy was on there as well. Logan, you said you saw the old video. Okay, cool. Let me share the screen here. All right, I'm sharing. Here's the video right here. Here it is right here. Is XRP's future price already set? Is the future price already set? It's an hour and 18 minutes. I'm going to share maybe one or two clips from it. But I think it's important to understand this dude's background first and foremost, right? Because we're all smart in this digital asset space. We got to ask some questions. What makes this dude qualified to do any of this? Or is this just some scheme to come up for us to become really, really wealthy? All right, so let me make sure I find the right part here. Hold on a second.
Of course, digital assets allows them to do. We thought that use case, that if you didn't have the regulatory overhang of the lawsuit from the SEC, you would immediately see it at this $10 to $20 value.
Okay, hold on. I want you to understand who this dude is. This is important.
Bull run was occurring in the book, and I'm excited to have this conversation.
Me too. I think one of the things that the XRP community might not be aware of is your professional background. So tell us about your work experience, would you?
Sure, happy to do that. So really, as it relates to the proposed transaction, before we launched Valhill Capital more publicly in 2020, I practiced corporate securities law and mostly M&A transactions for 3 big law firms for over 20 years.
All right. So first thing, for over 20 years, Jimmy Valery was a corporate securities lawyer, and a mergers and acquisition attorney for 3 major entities. 3 major. Let me let you listen to it again.
Sees as the value of XRP and sees what is clouding the title, if you will, of XRP at this time, which is one of the things keeping its price down. I think the XRP community is going to take this interview in the right spirit, that of deep professional information to add
A little bit of clarifying. And so, Jimmy, I've invited you here today to talk about that deal. And
of the transactions I worked on was in oil and gas, but
XRP community might not be aware of is your professional background. So tell us about your work experience, would you?
Sure, happy to do that. So really, as it relates to the proposed transaction, before we launched Valhill Capital more publicly in 2020, I practiced corporate securities law and mostly M&A transactions for 3 big law firms for over 20 years, and was basically involved in multiple public-to-public mergers, big joint ventures. Since my practice was in Houston, notably a lot of the transactions I worked on was in oil and gas, but yeah, did that. So probably the...
Okay, so there that is there. I just want you to understand, again, kind of get the context of who is Jimmy Valery. Look at Heather. I'm telling you, the Lady Cryptos are so smart. He's just the perfect. I want to make sure I got that in context here. Heather Hatley, like the Brunson case in the Supreme Court right now. She also goes on to say that he's just a perfect candidate. Too perfect. Anybody new? Check in. Jacob's Ladder is in the building. How are you? It says Jimmy Valery has a financial slant law pedigree that is impressive. So again, I think it's important for people to understand his background. We got to know, like, who is this dude? Like, see him pop up on James Rule's video. I think he's James Rule's partner and/or boss, one or the other type deal. So it's important to understand that, because his context of his background is hugely important. His background is massively important. What's going on, Diego G? Good to see you. Let me see if I can find some other clips for you guys to listen to, because it's really important. Let me see if I go here, minute 16.
And I'm sure we'll probably get into the whole SEC lawsuit and our thoughts about it and going into it, why that never really scared us or whatever a little later. But we actually thought we were more like the time we're in now back then. The timing was acute, that the central banks really needed to do something. We had come to the assessment that they were virtually bankrupt and that they were going to need to do a couple of things. First, they were going to need to speed up the velocity of transactions, which of course digital assets allows them to do.
Okay. They made an assessment, maybe the people at his law firm made an assessment that the financial times that they recognize for central banks, that the central banks are in a predicament. Why do you think that the G20 nations and one dude from the nation made an announcement of a retail CBDC to the public? Why do you think that is? Because they recognize there's a challenge right now. Jimmy Valley mentioned this, the distressed situation of central banks and the predicament that they are currently in, and their need for the speed of money. Now I'm going to reference 2 or 3 gold articles to the United States and the confiscation of gold and why they made the decision, in part, why they made the decision to go on the confiscation of gold in the United States, right? So let me see if I can share that. The liquidity challenge is part of it as well, right? The speed of money, the liquidity challenge, these are all things that take us from a financial situation where we're just hanging out in the garden to now there's a financial war going on. Let me see if I can. Let me share these articles with you guys. This is one article. I'm not going to read the whole article, just bits and pieces. And it's titled, How the United States Government Seized All the Citizens' Gold in the 1930s. Because a lot of people keep saying, why would a particular government entity buy our XRP at tens of thousands of dollars? Or, just 4 figures, when they can just go buy the XRP for 38 cents, right? Keep that question, because a lot of people keep thinking about that, right? So I'm going to hopefully hope that makes sense for you. With global financial markets in disarray, no, we don't need to know. Yes, good there. I don't want to do that. Don't let yourself be misled. Understand issues with help. So here it is right here. During extreme crises, governments can also seize people's gold. There have been stunning examples, plural, of gold confiscation in the past. Most memorably, this occurred in the United States in 1933 during the Great Depression. Larry Fink from BlackRock just recently announced that he believes this next financial crisis is going to be the worst. He said it was going to be worse than the depression in the 1930s. BlackRock, the biggest firm out there ever in terms of assets under management, he's coming out and saying this publicly. So when you hear words like that coming from BlackRock, to me, it speaks to the need of central banks and governments needing to take some actions and have a plan, right? During the Great Depression, albeit it's more accurate to call it a nationalization than a confiscation, says this writer, since the citizens were compensated. They were compensated. So that happened, right? Extreme crises, United States government in 1933 decided that they were going to confiscate the gold. Just a side note, the price of gold was trading for around $32. They offered $20 or go to jail. The price of gold was $32. They offered $20 for your gold or go to jail. Or go to jail. Immediately after the confiscation, the government, this is important to understand this. Immediately after the confiscation, the government set a new rate for gold that was much higher as part of the Gold Reserve Act of 1934. Let me ask you something. How did the United States government get to, let me stop the share here. How did the United States government get to a $20 and change price for gold? How did they get there? Did the president just wake up in the morning? Yeah, I'm going to set that thing at $20. Or do you think he had some people around him that came to an agreement on the value of an asset? Michael O2 is in the building. Says, Siege, I'm not the kind of guy to rip the government off. Michael O2, I hear you, bro. I disagree with what you're saying about Jimmy Valley, but I hear you. Yeah, it would. Yeah, Michael, it would be. It would be 100%. So think about this. A lot of people say like, oh man, they could just go buy XRP for 38 cents. Real? Okay. Couldn't they have also, talking about the US, let me ask you this, was gold not accessible to the United States government? Was it not accessible? Did they have to rid US citizens of gold in order to get gold? Could they have not put together teams and just went out and got gold? It wasn't on it wasn't somewhere that they couldn't get access to it, right? They could get access to it. They could put parties together and go get some gold. Why the need to confiscate the gold from its citizens? And why offer a price for it? It's that argument is no different than they can just go get XRP for 38 cents. Why would they buy it for this higher price? Remember the times we are in currently. The price was offered because of the asset had value in everyone. All the nations of the world agreed on that. All the nations of the world agreed on that. You know, are there any nations around the world today that think XRP is valuable? Something like that, Heather. Yes, something on that. Now, anyone here not believe David Schwartz when David Schwartz said publicly, time and time again, in order for this to work, that's his words, in order for this to work, the price cannot be 38 cents. It has to be high. Chris Larson is going around in his days when he was publicly speaking everywhere, talking about the nations of the world using XRP for liquidity, for pre-funding. The nations of the world have trillions of dollars locked up in pre-funding. That says the lack of speed of money. And there's an asset that can free up trillions of dollars for the top G7, top G20 nations, can free it up in a new financial system, free it up. Does that sound like a valuable asset? Marquise Landon is in the building. What's good, my guy? Good to see you. Okay, I didn't suicide myself. Just I want everyone in the world to know I didn't suicide myself. Bobby Axelrod says, I think you need to make the statement now that you didn't suicide yourself. Nope, not me. There's no way in heck that's ever going to happen. Right? So let me ask you another question about this whole, well, they could just go buy it for 38 cents. Let me ask you something, because this is the XRP community. This is the XRP fam. Are you selling your XRP for 38 cents? Are you selling it for 38 cents? So you're not selling, let me know in the comments, are you selling your XRP for 38 cents? Let me know in the comments. You know, heck no, heck yes. Are you selling your XRP for 38 cents? Second question, then how is a particular entity in the United States going to get it if we're not selling? Would you agree that the vast majority of people who have XRP got it kind of locked up, you know, didn't make the mistake that I made, right? Had it on a centralized exchange. All right. Circulating supplies, 50 billion. Total supplies, we're going to say, I don't know why this is down. Max supply is 100 billion. Circulating is 50 billion. The price of this thing has to be high. So let's just say in a perfect world, there are people out there selling their XRP for 38 cents, and now the US has 50 billion. They don't want the other 50 billion? They don't want it? Now, I don't know, again, I'm going to let Jimmy Valley explain it to us all. I don't know that one entity here, US entity, and, you know, the Jimmy Valley team, I don't know that they come to an agreement over a 5-figure XRP. I don't know. But I do know this, in these type of situations, someone has to start at a price, and the other person has to start at a price, and then they have to come to an agreement on an asset. So if 50, anyone answer the question? Nope, I see heck no. Alexi, no. What's good, Alexi? Good to see you, my guy. Heather says no. CJ nowhere says LOL. No, not even all-time high. Says, so how are they going to get your XRP then? If you're not selling, how are they going to get it? You got this XRP in escrow, okay? That right? There can be an agreement there. A lot of people don't think so, but there can be an agreement, not just going in and taking it, but there can be agreement reached on the escrow. What are they going to do with the other 50 billion that you got? You and I have. How are they going to get that? When they get educated more educated on the value of the asset, right? More educated, realizing the significance of the speed of money, understanding the financial dire times that are ahead. Everyone, but 75, 80% believe in this new reset. The G20 nations just announced that they're coming up with a central bank digital currency for retail. For retail. All the nations also understand that this new financial asset, this asset class, is going to be around digital assets. It's going to be the tokenization of all things. And the asset, the number one asset for liquidity, for the speed of money, for finality and settlement is XRP. And I say this on my channel all the time. Is the US going to allow a United States company to provide its service of ODL, its expertise in the XRP ledger and its digital asset XRP to be allowed by other top G7 nations, and the US is not going to participate? The US is just going to hang out with their own CBDC and try to figure out their own way for finality and settlement, and they're not going to participate in the ledger. or ODL and the digital asset. Are you suggesting that that's going to happen? Here's what I say. If it's a United States company, can't the United States powers that be reach out and have a conversation? Of course they can. So if you're not selling your XRP, then doesn't that kind of get rid of the whole U.S. entity going out and buying it for 38 cents? Who's moving it for 38 cents? Who's letting go of their XRP? So how is this U.S. entity going to get it for 38 cents? I'm like, how are they going to do it? They're not going to get all of it. I know they can hop on the XRPL. We can barely get on the exchange and get it. So how are they going to get your XRP and my XRP? How are they going to get the rich list XRP? How are they going to get it? You know, you got the rich list of the top XRP, you know, 1%, 5%, 10%. How are they going to get it? How are they going to get that XRP? Jacob's ladder. I won't sell it, but I'll loan it out. I hear you, my guy. I hear you. So you understand what I'm saying? This whole thing about this 38 cents, they can just go get it. Nada. Now, let's try to better understand. Let's try to better understand the idea of two entities coming together on an agreement for an asset. Remember Jimmy Valley's background. Over 20 years of corporate securities law and mergers and acquisitions with three big, he used the word big, law firms, right? So understand that background. In particular state that he was in, the mergers and acquisitions and having to deal with these securities laws and stuff was with gas and oil. Gas and oil. Anyone think those aren't particularly important assets? Kind of important assets, gas and oil, right? Let's get back to Jimmy Valley because that's important, and I want to share this with you guys to see if I can find it.
New type of an asset, we called it the residual airdrop right, and the person would still have whatever that XRP that they were holding before was going to get an airdrop, whether we know them now or in the future, they would still get them now or in the future. So that was something. There was some other elements, you know, kind of. There needs to be some recognition to compensate the damages that XRP holders have experienced because of the SEC's actions. And looks at which I think is the way most people think about it, kind of this gradual adoption type of a process, right? So, you know, it's going to start out at $1, go up to $5, $10, $20. That's the way most people think it's going to happen. We were basically trying to go to the end and say, no, what's the fully realized value of the ledger? And therefore, what's the implied value of an XRP? And basically discount, we did a discounted kind of a modified DCF, discounted cash flow type valuation as well. And then the other piece that was critical was this kind of, you know, this collateralization of the ledger.
Some very, very important things to talk about, not now, but the future value of the XRP ledger. Now, how is it that so many of us can believe that everything's going to be on the XRP ledger, but not believe in its value? Remember, the ledger, the asset attached to it is XRP. Remember when David Schwartz made this profound statement? He said the XRP ledger can move anything of value. Literally, it can take on anything of value. Let me ask you something. Is oil and gas valuable? Is real estate valuable? Is precious metals, gold and silver valuable? Are bonds and derivatives valuable? Remember David Schwartz's words, the XRP ledger can move anything of value, anything of value. in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. I'm not sure we understand the mind-boggling profoundness, if that is a word, of that statement. The XRP Ledger can move anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds. Let me share this other article here. It was another article here about gold, and they talked about the speed of money. To speed things up was the phrase, was one of the reasons why they confiscated the gold. Let me share this with you, because it's important to understand again why the United States would be making moves. It's not just because everybody is in this world of we are all in the garden times, just hanging out, just, planting some stuff. If it's sunny out, everything's blooming nice. Everyone thinks that we're in a garden scenario. But the powers that be are preparing for a war, not the guns and stuff wars, a financial times, hardships war. You understand what I'm saying? Take a listen to this. So many historians and economists points to efforts to get the economy moving again. Many historians and economists, or economists, I should say, economists point to the efforts to get the economy moving again as the reason. The theory being that people were hoarding this asset called gold. You and I just agreed on the stream that we are not getting rid of our XRP at 38 cents. The theory being that people were hoarding gold and that the velocity, remember this is 1930s, what more valuable asset was it than gold? And the velocity of money in circulation needed to be sped up. But the real reason, amongst many reasons, was a bailout of the privately controlled Federal Reserve Bank. Central banks. Jimmy, in this interview, points to the challenges going on in the central bank and their assessment, Jimmy Valery and his team, assessments of the dire situation. Where do you think he's getting his examples from? Things that have happened in the past and being able to forecast the reality of a future. Everybody's talking about this reset. Lynette Zhang from her Gold channel, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad guy, Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet David, Mark Moss, all these people in this financial situation. Everybody says it's happening. This reset's happening. Why in the world would BlackRock come out and talk and kind of announce that the dire economic situation is ahead and it's going to be the worst thing that we have ever experienced ever? And if we're going to experience it, means the other nations, it will be even worse. Which means it points to they have to come up with a solution. They have to come up with a solution, guys. So Jimmy Valley, hearing David Schwartz's own words and that says the XRP ledger can move anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a freaking penny, they sat back and said, dang, that is a massively valuable asset. It's not just something. It's not just some computer code. It's not just some blockchain. It's massively valuable. This guy is in the business, mergers and acquisitions. He is in the business and has the expertise of evaluating, coming up with assessments for valuable assets like oil and gas. It's important to understand that. Let me get to the video, the other part where he says some stuff that's important for us to understand, because the next question is, well, has something like this ever been done before? And has Jimmy Valley been part of that? Let's see, share screen.
Which is, going back to a gold standard, or is it going to be just gold? Is it going to be gold, other precious metals, oil and gas? We thought for the Middle East countries to come along with this type of a thing, you would need to value oil and gas in the basket of precious commodities.
So he's talking about these things being put on the ledger
in order to figure out what each country's kind of in-place resources are. But it was kind of that type of exercise. We had a lot of information. There was one document which anybody can go look up, still available on the web, called the All the Money infographic. We looked at all those sources. We brought those sources down because they were all old numbers, 2019 numbers, as I recall. So we had to bring those down to 2021. Those were kind of the three valuation models we looked at. Basically we put out that value, but there's other terms in the deal as well as far as consideration. You learn first year in law school in your property course, you learn about property being a bundle of sticks, okay? And so it's really just a bundle of separate rights. There's the rights to possess it. There's the rights to direct it. There's, and securities, you can vote them sometimes. You see what I'm saying? It's got all these indicia of property rights that are bundled into this asset, right? So one of the big things that XRP has, that several digital assets have, that XRP notably has, is the right to receive airdrops. There had already been the Flare snapshot, the Sologenic snapshot was coming up. So there was all these, there was the NFT project that's running on XRPL out of Italy, Elysius tokens or something?
Yeah, Elysian, yeah.
Elysian. So, there were all these rights, right, if you will, to receive tokens that hadn't even been issued yet, that we didn't think just because you handed over your XRP in connection with the deal, you should lose that particular right. So we bifurcated that property right. We basically said, we'll basically fork that right off into a new type of an asset. We called it the residual airdrop right, and the person would still have whatever that XRP that they were holding before was going to get in airdrops. Whether we know them now or in the future, they would still get them now or in the future. So that was something. There was some other elements, trying to, there needs to be some recognition to compensate the damages that XRP holders have experienced because of the SEC's actions. and the SEC and
Right.
maybe others. So things like debt forgiveness and tax holidays were basically added in to terms of the transaction to really compensate the people that walked through the hellfire, or, you've seen Shawshank Redemption. They crawled through the 2.5 miles of filth to get to the other side of this, right? That's what those terms were about.
Well, and I think you, as an experienced mergers and acquisitions attorney, securities lawyer, had all of the right elements to be able to look at this deal on behalf of the XRP community, which is really what you were doing, is proposing something that would benefit everyone at a higher price level, because you understood that the Federal Reserve issues the currency. Here we are during the pandemic at that time, seeing more and more trillions issued, more debt issued, and you're looking at 2.5 quadrillion of obligations, including derivatives and the bond market, which is debt. And, when they create currency, it creates debt that the people have to pay the Federal Reserve back for. So you were actually looking at a way to retire all that debt, in a sense, end the old currency and
retire the old debt. Remember, the U.S. is not in a position to pay back the debt. Like when you hear stuff like that, that's a reality situation that is coming to its right. That's a reality. They can't just say, yeah, we're not paying you back. Right? Then there will be just war. There will be relentless wars for a decade. They have to come up with a solution to the challenge. And that's just one challenge. That's just one challenge. What Jimmy is doing, to my understanding, is he's coming up with a proposal to the answers that central banks, first, obviously, the United States Central Bank, challenge. And this is one part of their challenge, one of many, is the debt situation that they are currently in. It's not a pipe dream. It's not some wishful thinking that you can come up with a proposal to some challenge that doesn't exist. It exists. It's a real thing. And this ledger and the asset of XRP solves it. It's an answer to their problem. That's why we say over and over and over again in the community, know what it is that you hold. This is not Dogecoin or Shiba Inu. You have to know what you own. You own something. That is the catalyst. It's the elixir for the greatest ledger ever created. Ever. And you own the asset that moves it. It's the gas, it's the oil and the engine to the whole thing. You own it. You own that. We own it. And in my humble opinion, they are going to want it. In my humble opinion. All right, take a listen.
Complete that transaction by having them to offer us an amount for XRP that would forgive all of that debt, in a sense. Is that right?
That's exactly right. If you just break it down to like the fundamental accounting equation, assets minus liabilities equals equity. It was, what lever can we pull to kind of rebalance this, right? Rebalance this debt system, which is clearly out of control. And you could do a debt jubilee. You could forgive all the debt, but that would hurt the investors who basically are holding debt as investment assets, right? So that didn't really seem fair. We really thought it was just this elegant solution, because if you wrote up the gold, it would have been kind of the same issue as taking the debt down. Then the people who just happen to be holding gold would experience this windfall and the write-up of the asset, right, that not everybody holds a whole bunch of gold, because we were taking off the gold standard 50 years ago.
And by the way, this is another important side note to understand. In 1933, when they decided to confiscate this gold, I want you to understand that. Now remember, got the gold all over, it's in the ground. It's all over. It's in the ground. It's all over. You got to understand something. Let me ask you this. Out of 10 people, how many of them held this gold where the U.S. government was paying $20 an ounce? Do you think that every single citizen held gold? Do you think every citizen in 1933 had gold? Do you think it was fair that those who got gold got $20 an ounce, and there were people in a depression that had no gold, got nada, got nothing? They got nothing. Who were the people, even though it was discounted, were able to get their gold at $20? The people who recognized the value in the asset and held it. Do you think that was 90% of the country? 70%, 60%, 50%? I promise you, it was less than 20%. I promise you. You know how I know that? Because less than 20% of the people today hold gold. Was that a windfall for the people who held gold when this announcement was made? Did people become kind of, wealthy? Because people get this thing about, man, that would make me a bazillionaire. Man, that would make me a gazillionaire. Yeah, but in comparison to the total population of the United States, what percentage do you think you're falling in? You think there's 95% of people holding XRP in the country? You think 95% of us hold XRP? Less than 3%. I think it's even actually less than 2% own digital assets at all, period. Point blank. Period, point blank, period, full stop. I'm telling you. Everyone thinks that because of this, they want to talk the stupid nonsense about total market cap. He's gonna cover that in a second. For some reason, we all think that not only us going to become gazillionaires, but our neighbor off to our left and the neighbor off to our right, our neighbor to the north of us and the neighbor to the south of us. We're all gazillionaires. Nah, dude. Nah. That's just not so. I'm telling you, 1 out of 10. I'm telling you. We're not going to all be running around. Your neighbor to the left, your neighbor to the right, all three of you go out and everybody's got Lambos. Nah, dude. That's not happening. It's not happening. That's not a reality. It's not. It's the same reality for the people back in 1933. The vast majority of people stayed in that depression. They went hungry. They were starving. They were poor. And the people who held the asset made it and won. We're in blessed times. We're blessed. It's important to understand. Know what it is that you hold. Now continue. Let's take a listen to the rest of this because this is important for you guys. You can't miss this part. This is massively important.
But here we had this brand new asset class that really hadn't been valued yet. It is such a unique moment in time to kind of have this brand new asset on the scene that we can basically have everybody come together and say, well, we're just going to say the fair market value of that asset is, way up here. And that would end up, basically re-equitizing. It would keep the debt holders whole. It would make a very small amount of people extremely wealthy. But, when we were looking at it, that's kind of a small price to pay to basically get us out of this, what appears even to this day to be an unnavigatable problem. The Fed it's now becoming very mainstream. It wasn't then. The Fed's kind of stuck. If they raise rates anymore, they're going to slam us into, a recession or worse. If they just go back to QE, quantitative easing and continue the trillion-dollar money printing, that's going to inflate us into oblivion. It was a real elegant solution, we thought. It was also going to...
Does that sound familiar? Remember, this was back in 2021. This is over 6 months ago. That sound familiar, that scenario? Feel like that's kind of happening? Does it sound kind of familiar? Does it feel like this is exactly where the Fed is currently in, the state and position that they're currently in? Jimmy Valley is a warrior in a garden, preparing for a war. That's what this proposal thing is about. Getting ahead of the situation. It is better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Like the tens and the millions of people in 1933 were not prepared.
Serve the side purposes of collateralizing the XRPL with its real full value. People would start to be able to trade right away, and we kind of saw the central banks would be taking the XRP back in by doing the transaction, and they would be using it kind of on the back end to do, like I said, instead of flying gold or other precious commodities around in military aircraft, they could just be bing bing, pinging each other with these XRP transactions to settle up. And the rest of us would be filtering over time. There's the people who will be participants, we call them the participating token holders. People who will be participants in the transaction are going to be kind of a different class of people almost as a result of that, right? And it'll be generations as their wealth is distributed amongst their families and for charitable causes and things like that. And then I guess more of your retail, everyday consumer people would, have not only the debt burdens on them, these taxing burdens relieved from them, and gosh, just imagine the uplift in humanity of being free from taxes alone.
Now again, the retail, the average retail holders, who are those people? It's the 97 to 98% of people not even participating in this new asset class called the digital asset space. He's pointing to their benefits from this particular proposal and coming to some kind of median on that proposal. Like it's a lot of people winning. Today, it's a lot of people winning. How many of those people that are winning are billionaires? There's a lot of people winning today because of whatever situation they're in. How many of them are billionaires? A lot of people are millionaires. How many of them are billionaires? So, and they're winning because of whatever they did and recognized as assets in the past, whether that be owning a business, whether it be owning a bunch of real estate, whether they're owning a bunch of businesses. The point is they're going to be people that benefit from situations and people who massively benefit from situations. And this proposal is a win-win when it comes to kind of debt and the idea of no longer having taxes. And remember, this was a nation at one time that did not have taxes.
Everybody was going to benefit in a very, very positive way, even though the XRP token holders were going to materially benefit in a very major way.
Yes. So I think what people had a hard time wrapping their head around was the fact that XRP was selling for, let's say, under $1, and you were proposing $35,000, let's say, and why couldn't the Fed just buy it off the exchanges? But it's not about them buying it off the exchange or buying it in that way. It's about retiring their debt and getting rid of the total debt that's outstanding. And that's the disconnect that I think most people really didn't understand, that I want to make sure that we describe clearly here.
Mm-hmm. We tried very hard to get all this out even before we ever threw the deal out there. Get these concepts of how do you establish fair market value for an asset and things like that. And, unfortunately, we just live in a time that we read headlines and we hear sound bites, and that's what informs us. There's not a lot of pulling back the onion one layer and going a little deeper. But you're right. The driver for the Fed, think about it as a legacy banking system, to do the transactions, because they were going to be able to set the price in a way that established fair market value for the asset and effectively collateralized the debt, right? So if most debt is synthetic, it suddenly was supported by an asset. But you had to do that in an arm's length transaction. That's part of it. And then, the kind of sub pieces of this is if you're using resources that are available to you, like agencies of the government, to do things like bring lawsuits, that then effectively puts a cloud on title. The reason XRP today is, I didn't look at it today, 40 cents or whatever, right? But the reason it's that is because the institutions have no regulatory clarity. They can't really get into it in a material way because there's effectively a cloud on title. What is the regulatory treatment of XRP? It's still not, nobody knows that. Nobody knows that definitively, right? We need to come to an agreement on that as a collective marketplace.
We need to come to an agreement on that as a collective marketplace. Now, remember, it's important to understand, Jimmy Valley's expertise is in this arena. Fair market value and establishing one for an asset between two parties. His primary asset in that space at that time was an asset called oil and an asset called gold. It's important to understand that. I want you guys to hear the words and the phrasing that he uses: collateralizing the debt. The driver for the Fed, that they get to set the price for a fair market value of an asset. And their impetus is the idea of being able to collateralize the debt that they have and have it supported by an asset. What's the asset? It's the XRP Ledger, and the asset, XRP.
But nobody knows what that is. So the price that we see right now, I don't know how to say it more plainly, that ain't the price.
The price that we see right now, I don't know how to say it more plainly. That ain't the price. and I want to make sure I say this now so I don't forget it later. I don't know where an agreement will be. The agreement might be $500. I don't know. But what I'm saying is he's coming from a background of expertise, and he put together 3 different kind of valuation, if you will, models, or 3 different valuations to come up with a model. And in his expertise, he believes he can present that and articulate that in a manner in which they would get it. Not in a way that they laugh him out of the room. You understand what I'm saying? This is his expertise. Now, he doesn't mention the big 3 law firms, but I don't know. But he's coming in with a history and an expertise that would have someone listen, in my humble opinion. I don't know how to say this, but the price that you're seeing on CoinGecko, love CoinGecko, love CoinMarketCap, that ain't the price. This last minute is everything, guys. Take a listen.
We have done transactions in XRP just like we do with barrels of oil, with cubic feet of gas and stuff like that, where we have priced XRP in a contract with another party for values that are far in excess of what it's ever traded for.
We have done, Jimmy Valery and his firm have done contract agreements for the XRP that they have, that they're going to get to someone else, and the XRP that someone else has that they're going to get to him, far in excess of the price of XRP has ever been. In order to do a transaction, guys, in order to do a transaction and come to an agreement, there has to be someone on the other side of that. Jacob's Ladder, thank you, my friend. Did you guys catch that? See ya, Nobody X. Did you guys catch that? What's going on? Looking good and doing it right? You heard that, right? Jimmy Valery has done transactions. Jimmy Valery, his firm, his company, Value Capital. They've done transactions where XRP is the asset. And they have come to an agreement with another party on the price of that asset that far exceeds the price of XRP has ever been. Question. The other party could go get XRP on the exchange for significantly less of a price, yet they paid for it on a price that far exceeds the price that XRP has ever been. Why did they do that? Now, I say it doesn't matter why. What matters most is that it happened. They have their own reasons why. Jimmy Valery had his own reason for parting ways with his XRP for a certain price. The other party on the other end had their reasons for accepting the price. Their own reasons. Had nothing to do, like the other party didn't say, Jimmy Valery say, wait a minute, that would change the total market cap of XRP to gazillions. They didn't have total cryptocurrency market cap debates. Oh my God, CoinGecko is going to go, they're going to go under. There was no total cryptocurrency market cap, XRP market cap considerations. This agreed upon price, came to agreement, and the asset moved, exchanged hands, period, point blank, full stop. So this whole idea of what the US entity can go and do on Binance doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When two parties come together and they agree on a fair market value of an asset, that's it. That's it. Then here, listen to the other part of this as well. Let's take a listen to this. I'm not going to change the screen, but take a listen.
And that's because the party on the other side wanted the XRP, right? And we were in a position to be able to sell material amounts of XRP. And vice versa. We received XRP at values that are called off-market values. This is happening all the time. This happens in markets every day.
This is happening all the time with XRP. And he also says this happens in markets, oil market, gas market, I don't know, pick whatever market. This happens all the time. That is the reality of the world. Just most people didn't know it. When he said this, when I heard that for the first time, I was blown away. And I just stopped trying to figure out why and just listened to my mentor who said, that's just the way it is. It's just the way that it is. He just said, Jimmy Valery just said, this happens in markets all the time. That's why we say in the crypto community, we have to know what it is that we hold. Because there are parties out there who understand it.
We do oil and gas futures contracts. We say, I'm going to sell you at this price. That person agrees. That doesn't change the market price of what oil is, right? That doesn't change the NYMEX price. That's our agreement on what we're going to value the oil on. You understand?
Do you understand? That doesn't change the market price that the 98% in the masses see. That's just the price that two parties agree on. That is it, my friends. That's it. I wanted to share that with you guys. What's going on, Kyle Teetmore? What's going on, my friend? Good to see you guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. I just wanted to share with you the reality of the situation. We got to get out of our bubble, the digital asset bubble, and understand that there's a world that exists out there and markets that exist out there that do these type of transactions, in Jimmy Valery's words, all the time. He just said he does oil and gas transactions all the time at agreed upon price that has nothing to do with the market's price at the time. Has nothing to do with it, and it doesn't change the market's price. If you own an asset and someone wants that asset, you can come up and come to an agreement on a price. Damn the market price. It doesn't matter. You don't think that certain U.S. entities are thinking to themselves, I can just go get this thing somewhere else? You don't think they're saying that? Or thought about that, thinking about that? They understand fair market value. They understand coming up with valuation models. I mean, even the freaking, was it Susan Anthony and the other guy, they did that way years ago. What happens when a certain U.S. entity gets educated and informed in the prowess of the freaking XRP ledger? I ask you, what is that going to mean to them and the benefits on their end? And please, with the whole they got guns and they'll just take everything from us. The one thing that they don't want is mutiny on the streets. You gotta get that. So let's get rid of the whole 14-year-old mindset of they'll just take it. They don't want mutiny on the streets. This is not other nations. This is the U.S. They don't want mutiny in the street. They don't want people standing in front of tanks, if you understand what I'm saying. And they recognize that more than likely, less than 2% of the people will be what Jimmy calls participating token holders. They understand that. I mean, after all, they have to have a nation to serve. So they understand that probably less than 2, probably if not less than 1% in this particular proposal will be participating token holders. They understand that. They know it's not you and your neighbors to the left and the right. They know it's just you. Michael, I don't understand why you think Brad Garlinghouse has to be involved in that. Jimmy just told you, my guy. Jimmy Valley just said to you on a video that he had a transaction of his XRP. Brad Garlinghouse has nothing to do with the XRP that you hold, my guy. Nothing. Brad Garlinghouse did not know anything about the transaction that happened with Jimmy Valley's XRP and another entity for far higher than the price that was on CoinGecko. He had nothing to do with it, had no say in it at all. This has nothing to do with Brad Garlinghouse. Nothing. It has to do with the people who are in a position to be participating token holders. Let me say it again. Brad Garlinghouse wasn't in that room with Jimmy Valley. This happened, again, Jimmy Valley, this happens in markets all the time. He was dealing in oil and gas. Was the Commodities Future and Trading Commission involved in the transactions that Jimmy Valley had and the other people on the other end of an agreement for a price of oil and gas? Was the CFTC involved? Are they going to jail somehow? Because they came to, this dude has spent 20 years in this business doing those type of things. Again, I'm not saying that Jimmy Valley's valuation of 37,000 or 35,000 will happen. What I'm saying is he came up with a valuation model that people interested will look at, and somewhere there is a possibility of coming to an agreement on said valuation. Let me say this one more time. The XRP ledger, according to David Schwartz, can move anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. And the engine, the catalyst, the elixir behind it is the digital asset, XRP. And that asset has a value to it, and the ledger has a value to it, period. And the powers that be know it. If you think the banks that are hopping on RippleNet are hopping on RippleNet for cross-border payments, you're missing the big picture. They recognize the prowess of the ledger. And if David Schwartz told you and I that the ledger can move anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny, then those banks and financial institutions know it as well. He said it to them as well. And if you believe that everything is going to be on a ledger, when I say everything, I don't mean every single thing, but the vast majority of important assets can be put on the ledger, then what does that mean for the asset that you hold? How valuable is that? And then I believe also there's going to be people in positions where they're just lending out this asset and never getting rid of it. That's a possibility as well. Just like it is the possibility and the reality that people have held the asset gold for generations and generations and generations. That is a reality. All right, guys. So listen, continue to know what you hold. Continue to know what you hold. I hope this cleared up some things for you. I really, really do hope that this has cleared up some things for you. Just understand, there's no need to get into arguments with people. People just don't know the reality of the situation because they're in their own bubble. Jimmy Valley said it. I can't say it enough times. Send people that link of that video so they can listen to a reality. He said a reality is he sold his XRP. I haven't done that. Here's another thing to think about. Have you sold your XRP for more than the all-time high? Who'd you sell it to? Did you do that? I don't know what the price was. Was it $5? Was it $10? Was it $20? I don't know. Here's the thing that I know. I have not moved my XRP for those numbers, $5, $10, $20. That's what I know. Here's the other thing that I know. Jimmy Valley just said that he has. When he takes that money or whatever he did with it, when he takes that money and put it in the bank, are they asking, hey, look, we found out that you moved that XRP for more than the all-time high price. You can't deposit that money into this bank. Did this banking people tell him? Wait a minute, you totally destroyed the total cryptocurrency market cap. We can't accept the money. Did that happen? No. We gotta mature up enough to realize the reality of the situation. Hands length agreement, the fair market value of an asset between two parties happens all the time. All the time. It happens all the time. I'm not saying I have no percentage as of the chance of this happening at some certain price. I have no idea. But here's what I do know. It is better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. I know that. And I also know that it is better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener in a war. All right, guys, look, thank you so much for hanging out. It's been a really, really cool hang. Do me a favor and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. I know, Rodwell, it's been a minute. I want to keep doing these live streams. Good to see each and every one of you. Thanks for checking in. Jackie33, I appreciate you being here. Kyle T. Moore, Michael O2, Rodwell, I appreciate you guys checking in. John Tremblay, Burley, Birdtown Music Group, appreciate you hanging out today. It's been a really, really, really cool hang. Looking good and doing it. I appreciate you checking in today. See Elgon, thanks for checking in. I should say Jacob's Ladder, thank you for being here. CJ Nowhere, appreciate you. Winston and Boris Garlinghouse, I appreciate you guys checking in. Norseman, Face Stamper, I appreciate you being here. David, I appreciate you guys hanging out with the Crypto Siege today. Logan, appreciate you, my guy. Face Stamper, Alex G, Marquise, OGs on the channel. Diego G, appreciate you checking in. My guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, continue to comment in the chat. Continue to comment in the chat and answer this question for me. Have you had an opportunity, have you had an arm's length agreement to move your XRP for significantly more than the all-time high? Have you been in the position, have you been making Jimmy Valley moves with your XRP? Third Eye Explosion was first in the building. I appreciate each and every one of you for checking in today. Guys, I'm going to end this video. Let me do this. I'm going to end this video like I do all of my videos. Okay, like I do all of my videos. And remind you guys of this.
Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather that we remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating, or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it.